Okay, Center 2 is called Clock Chorus. So basically, this center is going to be all about when birds sing, what they sing, and why they sing it. It's all part of the whole cycle thing because they sing in a cycle. And that's our theme this year. And some birds are even named after the sound that they make, like the chickadee. We start hearing birds the first time of the year in April, just like Carrie was saying in the introduction. Most sing in the early morning and are spurred by the amount of daylight, and then that allows them to see their food. So that's why they're getting up and starting to sing. The earliest start around 4 a.m., and that's the thrush family, the robin, and the blue jay all start around 4 a.m. And then most end around 11 to 12. And this is just like a little bit of background. And then this simulation that you're doing with the kids is only going to be the morning cycle. We're not doing the afternoon cycle. And then they rest for a little while, and then they start up again at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they go until sunset, and they pretty much go in reverse order of what they did in the morning. So, let's see. Songs are specific to the bird species. They are longer than calls, and they're more complex. And songs are actually used for courtship and to fend off territory type of stuff. Males do most of the singing, and it's to attract mates. Some females sing, and it's only to respond to males to help nesting, stake nesting territories and stuff like that, but most of the birds you hear are males. Calls are shorter, and all this stuff is in that little margin section, and in the intro, this is where I'm getting my info for your little background. Calls are shorter, they're more general, and it's mostly for begging for food with the babies, maintaining contact with the flock, like if they're all migrating or something, they need a way to stay in contact with each other to stay together. They use calls for alarm, distress, and aggression. And both males and females, for calls, males and females can understand the calls of other bird species. And then they stop singing altogether when the mating season is over and they're finished caring for their young. It kind of varies, or they're starting their migration again. That's when they stop. So you may want to start this center by reading this book. It's called Marsh Morning, or this could be a good book that you guys could read while you're like setting up or something and the kids are out in the hallway. But it goes through the whole cycle of a bunch of different birds and what they say, and it even goes through the afternoon cycle. So this is a great book. It's called Marsh Morning. It will be in Center 2 then. Okay. So basically this has 2 rounds. I'm not thinking you're going to get through round 2, but we always throw it in case you guys run out of time or you're having too much time or whatever. So basically you have these little cards, and they're kind of small. But like here's a red-winged blackbird, a white-breasted nuthatch. So the name is on the front, and then the information is on the back. So this one's going to say Conkalari. So they have to practice their little songs, and then it shows what time they sing in the morning. So this one sings from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. Okay, so basically you pass out the cards. There's like 6 or 7 cards in this first round, so all the kids will have at least one. Overachievers, if they want to do 2 cards and they can manage like the time frame or whatever, you can go ahead and judge that yourself. But basically you pass out the cards. And the mnemonic translation, it's just a memory phrase like they were talking about in the last yank, yank, sweet, 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 I'm so sweet. So like there's all these cute little going up, coming down, going up, coming down. So that's kind of what their bird song sounds like. So you pass out the cards, and then you ask the kids to kind of study the cards with the younger kids. You go over it with them and tell them what their bird says. And then once they have kind of practiced, and this is going to be a noisy center and very rambunctious, you add in the clock. Okay, so you want to set the clock for 12 o'clock midnight, and then you start going. You start winding the second hand. Oh, it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then when it's their turn, So 4 o'clock, the songs are gonna start, and then everybody at their designated time is going to start in with their little, so at one point in the morning, I think it's like around 7 or 8, like every single kid will be doing their little chirpy song. And so anyway, it's pretty funny. I actually did this center over at Kiffin last year when I was subbing. I just happened to be doing elf that day, and it was really actually pretty fun. So the kids loved it. So, and then, but they'll all be quiet by noon. And you'll be like, "Woo, we made it through that one." Okay, and then before we add the next section of this center, you want to say, ask some observation questions like, what did you notice? When was it the noisiest? When did it get quiet? Why do you think that is? Just ask some observation questions. And then you move on to depicting the cycle on a number timeline. So they're still holding their cards. And this is when you get out the markers and all that kind of stuff. And if it's kindergarten, first grade, maybe the coordinator wants to do this and just kind of show them where it is on the chart. But anyway, so each one of these represent a color. I even color coded them on the front. So like the Eastern Pee-wee is the same color as it is on here to kind of color match with the kids, especially the younger ones. So, and it just shows when they start, and it doesn't matter if it's on the top or the bottom. You could even put all of them on the top if you want to, but this is just like a sample chart of what it would look like. And then on this chart, all the birds are quiet by 11. Okay? And then reiterate that that's not the only time birds sing. They do start up again in the afternoon. We just didn't have the chart for it this time because we didn't have time. So, and then if you're really, and for the older kids, I did make a bunch of copies of these so each kid can make their own. Okay, and they don't even have to do these straight lines. They could do jumps, like number line jumps like they do in math right now, or anything that you want them to do. So, and then they can put this in their Friday folder to bring home. So, and then if you have lots of time, you can start round 2. So, and it's a whole nother batch of birds doing the same exact thing over again. So, let's see. Does anybody have any questions for this one? Okay. Alrighty, that's it for this. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention in my little timeline thing, for the younger grades, if you want to have them, I've laminated a copy of that timeline, and if they want to just tape their birds up on it when they start to sing, that's a great way to kind of adapt it for the younger kids. I just forgot to mention that. So we'll have tape and all the supplies in there too. Okay, so